We got 2 receiving bays, we got a semi pit, and then we got 3 bays for our tire.
One of the benefits of working for a small business is that you have a little bit of a family aspect to things that you'll never get at a large chain. You are a number at a large chain. You are a number at a dealer. Welcome to the Garage Grit Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Herlock, co-owner of AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company for auto repair shops. And I keep saying that faster and faster every single time. Eventually, it's going to not sound like anything, right? But anyway, today I'm here with Tad from Tinley Tee Tire in New Mexico. And I've already heard a little bit about his story, and I'm excited to share that with you because it's not, I don't know, it doesn't sound like your usual story. So this is going to be a fun one to talk and dig into. And sometimes when we have different stories, we have different perspectives and different ideas. And I think that's the benefit of this podcast. And so thank you for listening. And Tad, thank you for being on the podcast with us. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Good. All right. So you're in New Mexico. Have you lived there always?
I have. So yeah, lived here always. So I ventured out a little bit when I was younger, but yeah, I've lived here I came back in '97 back to New Mexico.
Okay.
Living in Arizona for a few years. Yep. Been here most of my life.
Okay. So forgive me. I'm from the East Coast, Arizona, New Mexico, flip a coin. It sounds the same. I mean, I know that they're two different states, of course, but they sound like a very similar setup as far as culture, as far as.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, okay. we moved from Nebraska and have you heard of Truth or Consequences, New Mexico? That was a game show that Ralph Edwards did out in California. So the town was originally called Hot Springs, and then they have a fiesta every year, and he was looking for a small town that changed their name to the game show Truth or Consequences. So that's where I grew up, graduated, and I'm still close. That's where my parents are.
Okay.
Consequences. So anyway, where you go?
That's really interesting. They changed the town name to match the show.
That's exactly right.
I've got to look into this. I got to look into the YouTube clips that are got to be out there about that show. I got to check that out.
Absolutely.
Was it like a Fear Factor type approach?
Well, I think
like a Truth or Dare type thing?
Exactly. Like either said the truth or you suffered the consequences type of thing. And that was, I think they've had their 55th fiesta. So this was long ago. Bob Barker was part of the show.
Okay.
Ralph Edwards. So yeah. So anywho, yeah, it's some interesting history. All you got to do is grab your phone, Brad, and Google it, and you'll find it.
I will be doing that. Yeah, not now, of course, but later. I'll put that on my list. And so, tell me a little bit about your background. I mean, you, if I understand it right, you have not always been in the auto repair space.
That is correct. I grew up in, we were big farmers out in Nebraska, but for health reasons, for me, my parents moved us out here to New Mexico. So, my father was doing some dirt work at the time, years ago. It's been years ago, probably 77, on a lot for a restaurant that was getting built. And the owner came and got him out of the front end loader and said, "Hey, I don't have anybody to run this place. Are you interested?" And yes, exactly. And he goes, "Well, I'll take a shot at it." And then my father was one of his first partners in this restaurant business. So we started back in 77. My dad's retired from it. My 2 older brothers were part of it. I was a part of it. My wife was a part. That's where I met my wife. So we were in the restaurant business for several years. It was, and it was good. And honestly, that restaurant business provided us the opportunity and the financial means to purchase this tire shop 9 years ago. But just a brief background on what I did. I started out working for my father in high school, and then left and actually went to the car business out in Phoenix, followed a girlfriend out there, and came back. I always knew I had to come back, get in the business. And I came back. I was ready to go. So I was obviously a general manager of a location of one of the restaurants, and then I worked my way up to by gosh, I was a supervisor, then I was a director of training, then I was a regional supervisor that covered, I had several stores with several employees and supervisors. So got a lot of background in not only the restaurant business, but the people business and how important it is. So, and then 9 years ago, yes, we bought the location here for my oldest son, and he's since moved on for good reasons, and he's happy, and it's all working out well for him. And at that time, I was just making a transition to I was ready to do something else. So
Okay.
I'm a lot older than what I look. So I know I'm handsome, but I'm a lot older than what I look. So there
It's
I
a
am. So we've
it's
had
a
the
fun
place
spot to
9
be in,
years.
right?
Yeah,
Older than you look. That's
yeah,
a fun spot to be
absolutely.
in.
Mhm.
Um, and okay, so you've been active at this shop for not all those 9 years.
That's well, we were active. We always met once a week. We had
Okay.
a big financial piece in it, but 4 years ago I came over here full time.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And what changes did you make on day one? And were
Well,
the changes that you made, were most of the changes at 9 years ago, or were they 4 years ago, or
a
is
lot
there
of the
two
changes.
waves of changes?
Yes, there's two waves of changes. I think 9 years ago, it was definitely ran as a mom and pop, our tire shop. So, yes, we do automotive work and tires. We do both of them. We got two sides of the shop, one for tires, one for our automotive work. But it was definitely ran as a mom and pop organization. I'm not saying anything bad about that. But 9 years ago, even the POS system was not adequate. There was no inventory. There was no, so that's one of the first things that we did that, I had a lot of background is just put in a system where we can track our sales, track our money, all that. So, 9 years ago when we came, this business was built. He did a wonderful job. 40 years ago, everybody had a charge account, right? It wasn't on a credit card. It was just a charge account. And then, 9 years ago, we'd be at the front counter. People would come in and pay $20 and they owed us $1,000, right?
No.
Yeah. So
No,
yeah,
I was just
that
saying,
wasn't working. So my
just a
son,
shocker.
yeah, it was a shocker. So my son did a wonderful job transforming those customers, and they were angry. But if you're going to be a successful business, you got to generate some cash flow, and it's not going to be $20 a month on $1,000 bill. But the regional owner did a great job. That's how he established, this business. So that was one of the changes. We changed how that turned out. Took us about a year to get that cleaned up. The POS system. We bought Blue Sky 9 years ago.
I'm sorry,
They didn't know what inventory they had.
you
Right?
bought what 9 years ago? You said you bought something blue
I
scribe
can't
9
hear
years
you,
ago?
Brett. I'm sorry. Oh, there you go. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, sorry. Your
No
question?
worries. I'm not sure if it was you or me, but
Yeah.
we're set now. You said you bought Blue Scribe 9 years ago. I think
I mean, a Blue Sky when it
Blue
comes
Sky.
to the inventory, like the
Got it.
tire inventory, things like that,
Yes.
because
Okay.
they didn't have a system to keep track of it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So those are all the things the POS system, is tracking our sales, our inventory, establishing our inventory count and everything that goes into that. And then establishing how we took payment, and just, made it, made it into a business and just not where someone can come in and here's your $20 and we'll see you in 2 months and pay their bill off. So anyway, it was a lot of work. When I came 4 years ago, it was the 4 years that I've been here, I've lost one employee. That's it. So one of the things was important to me is establish that. When I came in, I just flat told them I have some background in tires and things like that. But one of the first things I said, hey, you don't know anything about me, and my son did a great job but people knew of me. I always dropped by. But hey, listen, I got to count on you all to get through this. And one of the first things I said, you all have a lot more talent and a lot more knowledge in this industry than what I do. And I'm going to count on you to get us through this. And with that, there's going to be some changes that's going to be good for all of us. And I mentioned a few at the time. So at that time, I just didn't want, my son was having a hard time getting here. We were down to 12 employees, which was dangerous. And our guy that was running the place just said, I can't do it anymore. I got to have more help. So I am never short of help. To this day, I have 21 employees and I never go below 20. So that's one of the first things that I did when I came here is really establish that relationship with the employees, have an open door policy. As soon as I walk into into the store, I shake everybody's hand and say good morning to them, including my wife, and ask if there's something I could do for them. So
At which point your wife says, "Why didn't you ask that at home?"
Right. Oh,
Okay.
you don't even come in the front door and say, but anyway, it was about establishing that rapport with the employees for sure.
Yeah, no, I like that. I want to chat with you about that, but let me get some background information first. Did the shop have 20 employees when you purchased it 9 years ago?
No, they had at that time it was 14 employees.
14. So how many? Give me a size, like number of bays or number of cars. Give me some maybe square footage.
On average, we run about 1,000 cars a month. Which is, we have a lot of government accounts that we work with, a lot of government accounts. And I mean, there's a lot of back end, paperwork you got to do to get paid. But yeah, we have, oh my gosh, 4 bays or 5 bays on one side of the shop. We got 2 receiving bays. We got a semi pit, and then we got 3 bays for where our tire section is, our tire shop is. So yeah, it's a big shop.
Okay.
So,
was it mostly tires when you took it over? And
good question. It was a little bit of everything. It was a full-on mechanic shop, meaning as soon as we bought the place, one of the questions I had, why is this car still here 2 months later? They were rebuilding engines, they were rebuilding everything. And not knowing, if I don't know something, I'll go out and find the information from people that know more about it than I do. So me and my son went out and we did that. And they told us to get out of the full-fledged mechanic business. Don't rebuild engines, don't do transmissions. So we got out of it. And so we're more of a maintenance shop. We do all the flushes, we do front end work. We'll do lift kits, suspension work. Yeah, we'll replace an alternator. But that, rebuilding engines and stuff, we're out on that. And that was the right decision for sure. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned 14 employees when you took it over 9 years ago. And you talked about how it was more of a mechanic, a build shop, right? As opposed to a maintenance shop. What other differences were there? Obviously there was a credit issue. I don't know how he was paying 14 employees with, hey, this guy gave me an IOU. Let me pass it on to your payroll and take taxes on it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Well, I think again, you went in and we looked at pricing, and with the POS system and the company we're with, there's some pricing matrix on what we pay for the tires and stuff as far as the percentage and right. So pricing was important, and one of the things about pricing, you can get whatever price you need to, as long as, I have an individual that works with me that always scared about raising prices. I got a lot of talent in pricing, and that in the restaurant business, but only I can do it here too. That's what I promised him. So it's not about what the guy's doing down the street from you. I mean, it is in a sense, but it's about what you offer and they can't. And one of them was our customer service. One of them was that we had the number of employees here where we can get the work out. Where I came from the restaurant business, it was all about speed and quality. Is there any difference in the tire industry about that? There's not. I mean, it's still about speed and the quality of work. If people come in and it's a flat repair and they're still waiting an hour later, I can tell you Walmart don't even do, I'm sorry, but anyway, I mentioned them. But anyway, they can't even, they won't even do flat repairs, in the town that we are. So and it was a point, well, we're $2 higher on flat repairs. That's okay because we're the only one that's doing them, and they could come in here and get it done within 20 or 30 minutes because we have the people to do it. So people don't mind paying a little bit more as long as they're getting, that hello as soon as they come through the front door, which I'm huge on, and there's speed. And if there's a problem with speed, we always let them know where we're at, right, in the process of of their fixing their vehicle or put tires on or whatever else. So, yeah. Yeah.
So how did you come across? All right, you mentioned how you are good with, managing that pricing and increasing the pricing, and you just shared some of those examples by talking about the customer service, the level of concierge, the level of care, the speed that you're processing things. You're not worried about the competitors. Where did you get this? Is all from the restaurant industry? How did you come across this? And I want you to go a little bit deeper into your philosophy. If another shop was listening, right,
Yeah.
what can they?
Yeah. Right. Well, in the restaurant business, obviously there was a lot of competition, right? And you had to be aware of that. And in some instances, back in the old days, all we did is we walked right in there and visited with them, and we either took pictures of the pricing on their, drive-through menus or whatever else, and then kind of set where we were at. And that's a little bit different. Pricing you got to be really careful with when it comes to the restaurant business. You got to be really competitive with what the other guy's doing down the road. But over here, in the business that we're in, I got a lot more opportunity.
It's more elastic. You're saying that the pricing is more elastic because you can offer so much higher service.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're exactly right. And I wouldn't be scared. I wouldn't be scared of that. So, and honestly, everybody knows, the internet I guess it's a wonderful thing in a sense. Right? But, listen, I mean, if they want to sit there and price match something on Discount Tire, I mean, we could still get another $5 or $10 a tire than what Discount Tire, because they could. I mean, we'll price match anybody, right? It's really all about the cash flow and stuff. We'll price match anybody. So my team up front.
So
really
hold on.
do a good
So you
job.
just said that you're willing to be more expensive, but you're also saying that you're willing to price match. But now you're just talking about the product itself, not about the labor. The labor is where the pricing elasticity comes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're not scared to price match, but I think my people up front do a wonderful job on building. It's about building value, right? Building value in the tire, which they're, pretty educated, they're building value in the service that they're going to get after the purchase of the tire, via the road hazard warranty. You just can't throw in the road hazard and not explain it to them, right? Building value on, there's a lot of customers that just the relationship that they have with us. I mean, you should go. I tell you what, you should see all the cookies and cakes I have out front already from customers just giving it to us. But that comes from us, and we're able to do it. Discount Tire or those bigger box stores probably could do it. But, if Emily, who called, yesterday, my car doesn't start, could you come jump me? I mean, one of my guys will go out there and get her jumped up, and we just have a customer for life. Those are just the little things. And not only that, they tell their friends, could I collect a service fee of $75 from her? I guess if I wanted to, but, she's going to, first of all, she brought us cookies this morning. So, and so, there's, I know we take great pride in that. And, a lot of people love us and they keep coming back, and we pay attention to them for sure. So what their needs are and stuff. So anyway, I don't know. I love it.
Okay. All right. So just to talk about that pricing elasticity and pricing philosophy, sure, we can talk about the parts or the cost of the parts, and they can go and do that research themselves on the internet. And so that's, I'd actually push back a little bit on that and saying, knowing which parts are needed, there's a value in that, and you can actually charge an increase on that just because. Did you know which part goes here and why, which brand goes here and why. There's that education has value, but you're saying that the bigger portion of the price elasticity, meaning you can actually, increase your prices a little bit and feel confident about it, is when you have gone the extra mile for customer after customer after customer, when you have treated them like royalty, and when you have that speed of service or efficiency or that communication. I think the communication is almost more important than the speed. Letting them know, setting up that realistic expectation of it's going to take X and it's going to take Y amount of time. And that's the ball game. And then, charge what you want to charge.
Yes. And it's no different right now. Do you know why restaurants have 2 drive-throughs or 2 drive-through windows? They're there for a purpose. The first drive-through is to collect the change and make, conversation with the guest. So even if they're in there for 3 minutes or 10 minutes, they feel like they're getting paid attention to. So that's why they have 2 windows in the drive-throughs. They collect the cash, they make, conversation with the guest, and they can pull up and wait another few minutes or 3 minutes or whatever else, and they get served at another window. It's no different here. If you have someone waiting in our waiting room and for a set of tires, you go out there and inform them where you are at with the process and give them, maybe a time frame. Just that communication, like you said, it's just so important. We could have people here for an hour and a half for a set of tires because where we're at. And my people do not give any excuses. Oh, we're short help today. We didn't have someone call in. It's not about that. They don't want to hear that. They just want to be informed and communicated where the process is at. And then, we do a good job of that for sure. So
if somebody's waiting there, they come in, they have a conversation, they go sit down. How long before you go back to them and just verbally communicate with them again, touch them again,
yeah.
right? Even though it's not done,
Yeah.
let's say the job is going to take 2 hours.
Yeah.
Do you actually have waiters waiting that long?
It just depends, depending on what it's, scheduled for or something. If it takes a few hours, or then we'll say, hey, will you be waiting here? Or, do you need a ride home? Things like that. So, but we've had people that's waited. Yeah, here for a few hours, but again.
And so what I'm really finding out or trying to find out is what are the intervals before you make sure that you keep them back in the loop?
Well, what we'll do is we'll complete the work order, and we'll go out and kind of see on the tire side. We'll go out, hang it, kind of see where everybody's at. And we got radios that we kind of communicate back and forth with each other. So what they'll do is the service writers will just say, hey, listen, I'm going to go hang this up, and I'll maybe be able to give you a more specific time of when it'll be completed. And then they'll come up and they'll be sitting in the showroom, and we'll kind of inform them, well, they're 2 or 3 tickets down. It's probably going to be 20 to 30 minutes or whatever the case may be. And then they're always, whoever's work order that is, whatever service writer that process that work order, they're tied to that ticket, and they're required to keep our customer informed about the process and the work. So, they'll.
So do you have a specific rule of thumb that says every 20 minutes go touch them, every 30 minutes go give them a hug, a verbal hug?
Right. Not necessarily, but what I say to them is that you need to make contact with the guest at least one other time after you hang the ticket up to let them know where they're at of the process. And that's on the tire side. If it's on the mechanic side and they're not here, we'll have them. The service writer will give them a call after an hour or so and just kind of inform them. And there's a lot of times that we may have to call them back and say, this is some of the stuff that we found and what we're working on. And so there's not really anything on paper. I just ask my people to make continuous contact with the guest, and please at least make it at least one time.
In addition to the start and the end, make it at least one time in between. And so, all right, so it's not necessarily, every 20 minutes or every hour. But do you think it could be improved if it was once every 45 minutes, just in case? Or
I think it could. Right now, I'm kind of going through a structural change as far as the job descriptions of. I moved one of my better mechanics to store manager, which is, he's kind of uh, overseeing both sides of the shop, and he's really doing a great job in communicating with our guests. So I just talked to him this morning, and he's really good. And I asked him, so if we have a job that's been here, and I'm pretty on top of what jobs that we have. Okay, why is this car still sitting here? And he can come up and tell me. And it's in the notes in the computer too. He could tell me everything that's going on. I've contacted him. So I really, his job description is to make sure he maintains that communication with the tech, either whether it's the tire side or the mechanics, and inform the customer and the guests of any other maybe work and even the work that they came in for. You can still find more work on the vehicle. You'd be amazed. And putting my guy in that position, he's done a good job finding extra work. You'd be amazed how many we give the guest a call and they're saying, okay, yeah, let's do it. So so I put him in that role to kind of oversee that communication part with our guest and with our mechanic. And so far right now, I really like what's happening with that too. So anyway, yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, no, it's the phrase of increasing the average repair order is, a thing. I like to frame it as keeping the customer aware of what's going on inside their vehicle, because they're aware only on the seat, right? Behind the driver's seat, and they're not really aware of all that else that's going on with that car. So keeping them in the loop so that they can be proactive on things, as you pointed out, other things that are wrong with the car and could be improved upon for their own safety or benefit. And so that also benefits you. So I'm glad you guys are doing that. And that's now that's happening more now that you have that store manager in place.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I think that's important to have. Not only that, you'd be amazed if we don't catch it. The guest comes back, 2 months later because they have another problem, and they always ask him, well, why didn't you catch that the first time? So
Mhm.
don't be afraid to, quote the extra work or whatever it is. It's in our notes. They don't have to do it, but it sets them up for a good conversation and some work the next time they come visit us. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can relate to that. Again, my background isn't specifically repair shops for the last, several decades. It's actually digital marketing and website development and those types of things. And in my space that kind of relates is the number of people who we were hosting their website, and then malware happened on their website, and they just expected that we would go in and fix it. But we were actually operating on the idea that we should compete with the prices of GoDaddy and other low hosting costs. And those platforms, they don't bother to fix it. They just turn it off. That's on you, right? And so if you're going to actually be proactive at making sure that it's locked down and secure, that the malware doesn't happen in the first place, you got to pay that extra time and attention. And as you said, though, right, why didn't you cover that in the beginning? Well, it's because that's not what you were paying for in the beginning. And
Right.
so,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. And so now it's a different approach, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's a better approach too. It's a more thorough approach, and it's a peace of mind. And so I get that completely. So how long has the new store manager been in place? You said it's kind of new.
Yeah. No, he's been, and we're going through some transition. My general manager, he's has been struck down with a very, he's been very unhealthy. So he's been in and out. So I just had to, restructure that whole thing. So so it's been about 3 months. And you know what? I kind of told him, I set him down and gave him kind of a job description of what I'm envisioning. And I just said, you just need to run with it. And there's not going to be anything on paper. Here's some bullet points. Let's take care of our guest, communicate with the guest, communicate with the technician, look for more work if there is, and a job. And it's just kind of blossomed. And he's just, and I visit with him pretty much every day and ask him where he's at, and he's just blossoming. And I can tell you right now, this year, it hasn't been a struggle, but my point is, if we can do the sales and the car count we did same month last year, I think it's a benefit. I think it's a win. And I say that because when the vendors come in and service me and and they ask how we're doing. And I asked how the other town is doing. They said there's some people that are struggling in the tire industry. They're down cars and things like that. So my having him the last 3 months, my profit is up from over last year. I'm doing a few less cars, but my profit's up because like you said, there's the ticket is bigger, and
Right.
it was a good investment with him. And I think it's a home run with it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I've got some, listen, if I get too uh, personal with some of
Yeah.
the number questions I'm about to
Yeah.
ask,
No, you're
then
good.
just feel free to push back. But I'm going to ask some number questions. The first question I want to ask is, what percentage of your business is tires versus repair?
Yeah. Well,
And you
probably,
can just ballpark it for me. I don't need you to
yeah,
give
I
me the
say 60/40, tires 60%.
okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned about how the profit is up. Uh, and, I always hear from different shops about how the cost of supplies and parts are continuing to go up. And there's also plenty of other hidden costs that come with running a shop. Um, I don't know, is it just because of the price elasticity model that you have when it comes to the concierge approach and your labor rates that have kind of helped you over the top? You've already talked about the increase of the ticket, but
Well, good
maybe we should
point.
drill into how you've managed some of those hidden
Yeah.
costs.
Well, what we did, that's a good question. What we did, I had to step back and kind of analyze everything. And it's like, right, we have a synthetic oil change. Okay, great. But if you look at my menu of oil changes, I have 9 different oil changes a guest can choose from. And,
Are the guests, do the guests even know which one they need?
we educate them. So, obviously
Okay.
we offer some products here that they can gain mileage on their next oil change. And, again, we're in the maintenance. It's surprising. People are very used to oil changes because they're maintaining the car, but, just as important, there's, whatever, a radiator flush, a brake flush, whatever else. It's just as important. And they're not educated in that. So we've done a lot more of that. We got our machines going pretty good when it comes to those flushes. So that was generating, and my guy that's my floor manager, my store manager, he's doing a really, really good job at that. And our service people up front, what we did is created like a menu for these oil changes and some talking points that we can have with the guests. And eventually over time, since we started that about a year ago, um, we have it in the notes about what their last oil change in, and it's about educating that guest and that customer. And next time they come in, they just say, okay, give me the oil 3, and we make an extra $20 or something like that. So coming from the other business, if you're going to be profitable in this, I learned so much that I brought here in the tire industry is you got to sell the cherry. You'd be amazed that in the restaurant business, how much that extra 30 cents generated. All right. And so when I tell them here, when we meet, you got to sell the cherry. So for example, when they cash out our guest and everything like that, I mean, we have a fuel additive sitting right on our desk, and they'll try to upsell. They upsell the guest. So it could be just a $10, oil or a fuel additive. And you'd be amazed. So that's selling the cherry. So instead of selling cherry flavoring in a Coke, we're selling the cherry. Everybody knows what the cherry is. So we're gaining that incremental income from just suggestive selling. And you'd be amazed how many people actually do. You can do that here. You can do that in the tire industry. So that's where we're getting the extra profits in those flushes, and upselling some, different oil changes, selling the cherry that's out on our desk. And we'll have a new cherry every week that we try to sell, when we cash out our guests. So, it's a,
Oh, that's interesting. You actually
yes.
rotate that product up front, whether it's fuel additive or something else.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
exactly.
okay, so give me a couple other examples of things that you're putting up there.
Yeah, so we'll put we got a lot of fuel additives, and I won't mention the company, but we got a uh, uh, we have some fuel additives, and then this week I'm not sure. Okay, well, yes, I know what we have this week. Daniel's doing it, so I have a hard time keeping up. So he'll visit with me on Friday along with my general manager. I kind of got a new general manager, but he's been with me because my original one has been sick. But they'll get with me on Friday. So they got wipers out on front. So they'll suggest to sell wipers, buy one, get one this week. So yeah, so it could be the wipers. It could be probably we do windshield chip repairs here. So there'll be it could be half off on a windshield chip repair. And so yeah, so it's not only items, it's even the services that we have. And also we have bounce back coupons too. No different than the restaurant business versus here. We'll give them a bounce back coupon. So for example, the protective, for the floor when you do oil changes, it'll have a coupon on it, right? So, for their next oil change, it'll be $10 off or whatever else. So we do a lot of bounce back coupons as well. So, I mean, it works. So it works for us.
Yeah. Now those are not things that you're charging. Those are things that you're just kind of adding to the retention.
Yeah.
plan
The
for
retention
Yep.
side of it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Okay. So we talked about the sales side. Let's talk about the cost side.
Mm-hmm.
How are you managing, and what are you seeing as far as, obvious labor, right? Those are big things, but like what other things are a factor? Those who are listening in, I checked out Tad's place, and it's a good looking shop, right? And so
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm guessing, forgive me if I'm wrong, did it look like that when you bought it 9 years ago?
It wasn't. We're definitely keeping the physical plant in better shape. So we've added some things to it. We got a parts
Okay.
house inside the shop now. But it's 40 years
What about
old too.
cosmetically to the front? Was that way when you got it?
We did repaint it and stuff to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's pretty much it. Put new window cones up front. Just
Okay.
cleaned it up, got rid of all the old tires in the back, and yeah.
Yeah.
So we definitely get a lot of cleaning up and straightening up. We remodeled our showroom last year, which was a big help. Got a lot of compliments on that. So
Okay.
yeah, for
And these are all costs that don't, there's not a direct line between that and a new customer.
That's great.
Why don't you just riff a little bit about how you're managing those costs and when you're deciding to do what?
Well, it's real easy for me. Our goal when we bought the place, when you go out and buy, obviously I get better pricing if I'm able to buy in bulk, right? If I buy a container full of, 800 trailer tires, but, for a shop like I have one shop, to write a check for $60,000, that's, that takes some guts. But anyway, we do that. But we really worked at it the first, it took us 3 years. My point is, if you buy tires where I came from, if you bought the tires, you need to pay for those tires the same month you got them. So a lot of people in the tire industry or whatever, oh, you got 60 days to pay your bill. And but in the meantime, I still got to buy other things too. So it took us a lot of time I really managed the costs in the business. I go to my bank account and I see what I got. And I know exactly what I need to pay on my labor. It's that simple for me. My wife was the CFO of the company that I worked with. And so she does the numbers, but it's real easy for me. I know what's coming in and what's going out and the money that I have to spend. But we got to the point now where we generate enough cash flow. Cash flow is important in this business. That we can pay our bills the same month that we get any product. So if we get a container in, it gets paid that month. We don't go past 30 days when it comes to paying our bills. So, but it took a lot to manage that cash flow and stuff. So, we woke up one day and there was plenty of money in the bank,
Nice.
Oh.
How long does it take you to go through a container of tires?
We had the 800 tires that we bought November of last year. Well, no, I didn't. With the trailer tires, it wasn't this November. It was in November before. It took us about 12 months to sell all those those trailer tires, and they're just, trailer tires. There weren't anything else. So, but cost on it was, I mean, the profit margin when you're able to buy it like that is huge. So we really try to do that when we can. So, but my
Your
point
property
is,
must be I'm thinking that your property has to have a lot of space. You've got plenty of space there to be able to store that kind of.
we got 3 levels. We got the downstairs, upstairs, and the upstairs for sure. So, and that always kind of worries me. I'm really big on inventory. So, every month, if you talk to people in the tire industry, they'll spot check some tires and in a section every month. We count all the tires every month, and yeah, I mean it's just and I know exactly what we have and the dollar amount, and we really manage to try to be there at the same place every month. So yeah, a lot of tires. We definitely got lots of tires.
Huh. Okay. And you said you have 3 floors there. So the
Yeah.
shop's on the first floor, and then you've got I mean, do you have elevators? I mean,
No,
I'm picturing like people walking up with tires.
Yeah, we
up the
got
steps.
stairs. We have stairs, boom, 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 and they just move one tire from one level to another. So no, my folks are pretty good. I mean, we got I was amazed I wasn't here, but we got a couple hundred tires in on Friday, and I'm expecting to come in on Monday, and they're going to still be out there, and because you got to put them in inventory and find a section for them, and they were all put away. I mean, it was like, wow. So they got it down pretty good. So for sure.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is with stairs. It's not. There's no elevator or lift or anything like that. So
we got a drop zone. Yeah, it's with stairs. Yeah, we got a drop zone. And it's all painted in red, and they yell clear at the top of their lungs and drop it off the first floor. But yeah, it's crazy. So
that's awesome. I'm just everyone's in shape there. Okay. All right. So what other costs? I mean, so now we're talking about the cost of product. What about what other hidden costs or other costs that we're not taught that we should be thinking about when we're talking about making sure that we're
sure. I mean,
good?
obviously, as we mentioned before we started recording, just the hidden costs, obviously with, the unemployment, it's huge, and it's huge. You got to stay on top of that. And if you have to get rid of an employee, just can't say, okay, you're out of here. There's some things black and white but, the 9 years that we've been here, we take great pride. If our turnover percent is probably lower, when I tell people how many people I have, they're surprised. And then, well, how much business do you, how many cars do you do? And what's the volume? But here's what I learned. Having 20 employees, I do have some part-time high school students and stuff, but we're never short of help. There's always someone to call if someone doesn't call in. There's always, and yeah, we have a high payroll, but it's just worked out. So, what the hidden costs are not only the unemployment, but, if I lost, my alignment guy, and he's worked up to the ranks, right? He was on the tire side. He's worked up, and unbeknownst to him, we kind of threw him over there, learning how to do alignments. Now he's my full-time alignment guy. We kind of work him up through the ranks. But when you lose an employee, that costs us a lot of money when it comes, even the tire side. When you're replacing tires, and I mean, it's dangerous work. It's not like you can just throw the high school kid over there and we're all good to go. So when you lose an employee, it really, and in my previous business, you could do a cost analysis, what it cost you when you lost an employee like that. I mean, I haven't done it here, but I take great pride in keeping all our employees. Now, what does that mean? I manage my people in the gray area, which means, no black and white. They still, for me, it's black and white, but I put up with a lot, and I think they appreciate with that. Cause it's,
Can you give me an example?
well, I got to tell you, like when we have a customer satisfaction meeting, okay, we broke a wheel cap, or we didn't tighten a oil filter tight that we did. I mean, for example, I haven't had this happen in 9 years. We've had it happen one time. It happened 4 months ago where, your worst nightmare, a wheel fell off a vehicle.
Ouch. Yeah.
And think, Nobody was hurt, but I tell you what, we took care of that, right away. So what do? I knew who the employee was, you look at the cameras and long story short, would that be a fireable offense? Probably, and I could have won that, right? But this guy, he owned up to it. He was apologetic about it. He was, I promise you, and it won't happen again. And if you need to charge me, then go ahead. And and that was just a relationship that we've had with those. So yeah, I could very easily got rid of him. And we did. One guy that decided that he was going to do the wrong thing, and he ran a customer's car right through a wall. That was like 7 years ago, but
Holy mackerel.
so anyway,
How did okay? So now that sounds like an interesting story.
Yeah.
Can I ask about that?
well,
Why did he run a customer's car?
well, he was he was our oil tech, and great guy. And that was when my son was running the place, but great guy, an older gentleman. And he had it on the. We don't have we have a semi pit, but we don't have a pit for our oil changes. So we raise those cars up and get out of it. But he was on the car, and and luckily it wasn't that high, but he just ran it, didn't hit the brake. He hit the gas and it went right through our
Okay.
wall.
It wasn't malicious. It was
No,
just
no,
he just
exactly.
he wasn't thinking clearly, he wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention to what he was doing.
But
Okay.
unfortunately, that was his third offense with that.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, it
was
wasn't a bad day.
no.
It was a
Yeah.
bad situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, exactly. So
Interesting.
anyway, those hidden costs are everywhere. So you got to pay attention to your employees, because if you don't, you need to build that relationship with them. Because like I said, it went from ours went up to $5,400 a quarter for unemployment claim. Because when I came here, everything was going to. My son got rid of 2 people. One of them because he wrecked a service truck into another vehicle. That was another thing. And it was let go. But unbeknownst, when we were making that transition, everything was going to his email. So I didn't see any of this unemployment claims, right? So it went up to like $400 a quarter to, $5,400 a quarter. So it was huge, so that's a hidden cost, that there's been labor, obviously wages and stuff like that. It's huge. We're in a state where, minimum wage is not 7.50. They raised it to 12, and then a lot of cities just make their own, right? So, right now our town is at $12 an hour. So, but you got to find a way to bridge that gap. So, but a lot of my people are making, even though it's minimum wage, $12 an hour, $15 an hour. Try to make that $3 increment, 13, 14, 50, because I know where Walmart's at. I know where everybody's at. So, and what I do is I go down.
Yeah, and you're talking about the people that you're not talking about the technicians. You're talking about the guys that are changing the tires. Yeah, right, 100%. And so, what you're trying to say is you're being competitive. You're being price elastic on the wages to make sure that you retain a higher percentage of your customers to minimize or mitigate the unemployment costs, because they get out of hand real fast. But I'll push back a little bit on that. I mean, and have you ever had a situation where this guy is kind of a bad attitude in the shop culture, and I mean, you're shaking his hand, you're saying, hey, how can I help you today? What can I do for you today? You're making them feel special, but for whatever reason, they're still a poison to the pool. I guess what I'm saying is I've seen a lot of situations in a lot of shops where you got to cut the cord. It's worse. The cost to keep them is going to be a lot higher, speaking of hidden, than the unemployment cost. So
You're exactly
how are you
right.
balancing that? Go ahead.
And the 2 individuals my son got rid of, he talked to his mother-in-law about these 2 individuals, and they were souring the team, the attitude that they brought to the shop. And you're exactly right. A bad apple on the team can determine how your management team manages everybody else. It's sour. And unfortunately, I'm making a decision on one now. I don't care how good they are, right? I don't care how good they are. But sometimes you got to make that decision to say, hey, listen, it's just not working
Yeah.
out. It's not fun, you know?
No,
Yeah.
no, those are hard conversations to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, uh,
So
Now, do you take the time to actually know about them personally? Like, what kind of relationships do you have with your employees?
it's I'm a
Well, that was a
let's
pain. That was a tough question. I just gave you a tough question.
I probably know more than what I should. And that allows
Okay.
them to come in through my front door and say, "Hey, can I have an advance on my paycheck?"
Mm.
Okay, so um, has that worked out for me? I guess it has in a sense, you know. So
Mm.
yeah, that's I know. I don't know
Do you
what the
charge them like a 3% rate? Like,
right
that's what they would get.
you know.
I don't know what the rate is if they went to one of those I don't even know what they call them. But there are businesses that's what they do, right? They give you an
Yeah.
advance on your pay.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
those are probably some shark rates, not like 3
Yeah.
or 4%. They're
Yeah.
probably like 25.
So no wait,
I have no idea.
I'll say, we're getting ready to have our Christmas party here on Saturday and they'll bring their spouse or whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, I kind of know. And then I don't ask, they kind of offer the information. I don't really,
Okay.
yeah. So I think it's important to know. And they take, you need to know a little bit about them. So, but I don't want to know too much I got a soft heart too. So I've been taking,
Well, that's the challenge, right? Is that, a lot of us do have that soft heart.
yeah,
We hear the stories,
yeah,
and there's that's in my mind, that's one of the benefits of working for a small business is that you have a little bit of a family aspect to things that you'll never get at a large chain. You are a number at a large chain. You are a number at a dealer. And so we need to it's always a challenge to find that balance between the soft heart and no, I just looked at the P&L. Here it is. This is what we need to do. Did you have the same issue when you were in the restaurant business?
Um, not in, the higher I got up, yeah, I knew my supervisors kind of in a personal basis, you know what I mean? So, um, you had to, if they're going to be unavailable for work or something, and they offered it. I never asked them why, but they offered it. And to this day, they keep in touch with me. So they've become, well, when you're in the business for 34 years, you see them and their kids grow up and things like that. So, yeah. So, yeah, I experienced it in the other business, and there's a lot of them that still keep in touch with me today. So that relationship is important. So it is, but they can take advantage of that too as well. You just got to be careful with it and kind of state your case at the beginning and I mean they all know that if you're going to come in and ask me for money, and I tell them in a meeting, hey, listen, my wife and I are always here to help. We'll help you guys any way we can, but if you take advantage of that help, then it's going to go away. So if you're that guy that comes in, and I had a guy, hey, I need an advance, okay, you got no more. I mean, this is the third time. Let's sit down and talk about your finances and quit buying the little pony for your daughter that you bought 2 weeks ago, because I know you did. So so up front they kind of know what that relationship is going to be too as well when it comes.
Well, that's interesting. So have you actually, was that the end of that conversation, or did you sit down with him and his personal finances and help him develop his own budgeting skills?
Sure. Yes. This individual, you sat down and did, well, it's interesting. So a small business like us, we just rolled out an opportunity to do some profit sharing and a 401k with our employees. Nobody, and I told them, you guys, I'm going to pay you to be there. Some of them, well, I can't afford it. I can't. I had people come in and set them down. And they came out of that with a whole new, outlook. So, I mean, 6% of your gross paycheck, okay, maybe it's $30 or something, but it's something. And then these people that came in, well, my son, he's with a financial institution now. He came in, explained it, and then he had a webinar with some two people back east. They did a really good job with the employees on teaching them how to, hey, $30, this is maybe where you can save it. A lot of them came out there with some to the point where today, that was last week, and I'm getting several questions about it and stuff too. So, yeah, I mean, that guy that you're referring to, we definitely sat down and I offered it. If you want to sit down and talk about your finances, I'll be glad to, with you.
And he took you up on it.
Yes,
That's amazing.
yes, he
That's
did.
great.
Well,
That's fun.
yeah,
I mean, again, it goes back to the heart of the opportunities that we have as business owners and
the
shop
small
owners
business.
to kind of, pour into our employees across the board. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
No, you're exactly right. And we, because those are the guys that come in and say, "Well, I need more money." We give evaluations here. I do them twice a year, so everybody kind of understands where. And I'm big on counseling forms. A counseling form could be a training form, but it's all documented. But when they come in and ask you for money or advance, it's like, man, maybe we need. It's not about what I'm paying you. I mean, come on, $15 an hour is hard for people to make a living on, and I understand that. And that's why we offer a lot of other things during the year form. Um, but let's sit down and figure this out. So maybe you're spending some money where you shouldn't be, and let's sit down and talk about it if you want to. And he came in and the next day, and what I usually do, Brad, is if you want to sit down and talk, I'll be here at 9 o'clock tomorrow. So, and he showed up at 9 o'clock. So, yeah, it was good. But anyway, and then what happens when he walks out of there, um, then he tells everybody else, out there. So it's building a culture and stuff too, for sure. So anyway, yeah, yeah,
Okay. All right. No, I'm thinking about that. And all right, so you talked about the 401k thing that you implemented with your team.
yeah,
Um, do you think that's possible for a shop with only half your size?
yeah. Well, possibly. Obviously, there's some, like they got to be over 21 years old. They got to, things like that. So that eliminates some of them. But I think it was just important. I was kind of hearing through the grapevine that, we have a couple mines, copper mines and stuff around here. They could easily go. The two individuals that went to the mines to go work, all came back to me last year. And obviously they're going to go make more. They're going to make more money. Absolutely. I said, yes, this is not a hard decision. You need to go. And this, always know that you always got a job here. If there's a position open, come talk to me. And both of them did, and came back. But I think it's about, we have 21 employees. And last time I saw, there is 6 of them that joined forces that are signed up for it right now. So, yes, I think there is, as long as you have the people that are able to be, call. We can't afford health insurance. There's no way. I can't afford that. I can't give that to them, so, you know what I mean? So I had to find something. When I heard about people thinking about leaving, I go, okay, got to find something. I got to find something. And I talked to my son and it just kind of worked out, and it's been pretty good so far with that. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. Are you a part of any kind of buying groups?
Yes.
Other shop owners, and so to try to get a better deal on products and supplies.
Yes, I am.
Have you explored whether or not those buying groups could help with getting better access to lower cost insurance,
Like garage insurance and stuff. We've
garage
Yeah,
insurance, but also health
yes,
insurance? I
yeah.
mean, like what if it was a scenario where there
Yes,
was 15 shops together and maybe that rate is better
yes.
than if it's one shop?
Well, the insurance, or the group that I belong with right now, I'm with their insurance company when it comes to the garage insurance stuff. But um, they, for the amount of money we pay, you get a lot of other things too. There's so many, training uh, links that you can go on there too. I mean, it's, we built our employee handbook through this insurance company. We built, if you take advantage of all the resources, abundance of resources, we go through sexual harassment, discrimination training once a year and touch up on that. It's all there for you. You know what I mean? So there's some extra value. It's just not like I'm with State Farm and that's where it
Yeah.
ends or something. So
What percentage of your shop is male versus female?
I got 2 female. Well, if you include my wife, that's 3. So if you include my
Okay.
wife, She takes the place of 4 women, I guess. But anyway, yeah, 3 women and the rest are the other 18 are males. So coming
Okay.
from my other industry, that was very important that I put some training in place when it comes to that, right? So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now, with the employee handbook, I feel like that's a CYA. Forgive me for the casual nature of that term, but I feel like that's a CYA activity.
Mhm.
Like nobody actually reads that. Just
Yeah.
sign here, you have it, and now I'm covered.
Mhm.
Is that your approach, or is there actually educational information that you put and push in front of the employees?
The one thing that I've learned is you make your employee handbook maybe as general as possible, right? Because you can find a place. So if we can't counsel an individual, we'll refer to a page of the employee handbook that it could be a real general description, but it could fall underneath, that category. We also, you're exactly right. When we onboard them and um, the extra work you put out front with the new employee could save you thousands later on. So yes, they don't get a copy. They get one through, I email one and then they signed for it. I have then they signed for it that they received it. And then we'll go over some bullet points during their onboarding. I have actually a onboarding checklist that goes through the employee handbook that when we have them here, we highlight some of those pages in that employee handbook. So, I mean, that's important. Then they have a copy of it too as well that they virtually sign for.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how often it actually gets digested, because I feel like more
Well,
times than not. So I remember when many years ago we had one in particular that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put kind of like an Easter egg comment on section 9. Nobody ever commented
well,
on it, right?
yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. I'm one shot. I wonder how many people out there even have an employee handbook.
Most don't. I would
Yeah.
think that most don't.
And
Right.
so it's definitely an important feature for sure. So anywho, yeah.
How customized is yours?
Not too customized. I mean, there's some things that I added, obviously, for the state of New Mexico that concerns, sick leave and sick pay. That's another underlying cost that we have to pay them 64 hours of sick pay. But depending on the tenureship and how long they've been with us, we just include everything that's paid time off, as long as you're over 64 hours. So there's some people that have 20 days that I have here. So, yeah. So I'll put that in the employee handbook and some, you know, that's kind of really it, I think. And then, there's a standards of conduct section that I really didn't add anything to it, but I added, you know, the non-smoking policy I added to it, so,
Okay.
there's some things that I added it to and customized, but not too much.
And so is the primary purpose of the handbook to mitigate the cost of unemployment so that it's easier? Is that the primary reason?
And in a section in that it'll talk about our counseling procedure, right? So that states very clear on that. So um, the third counseling form could result in termination, right? Whatever it is. So yeah, and you can, one of the hardest sayings it talks about one of the hardest sayings to win an unemployment claim on is people being absent from work. It's really hard to, but when people call in, we put the notes on it in their file in the computer. If it goes over an abundance and they take advantage of it, then we sit down and write a counseling form on it. So I can tell you, being a mom and pop, I guess if you want to call us that, we're very, very well prepared to go through any litigation or unemployment claims. Everything's on paper. There's evaluations to be had for all the employees twice a year. They understand where they're at in the process and what we need from them. And yeah, and that's what I learned, in my previous life. So important.
And I'm still just thinking
Yeah.
about that. And uh, does the employee benefit from the handbook? I mean, in a way, I guess you could make the argument that they do, because they have a better understanding of what's expected of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I kind of want to like make them. I kind of want to give them a test. I kind of want to look at your handbook, come up with a test, and then give it to them randomly and see which one actually passes it.
That's probably actually a good idea. And you know what? Probably what we need to do is reevaluate that, or every year, and just well. It'd be great in my previous life, when every month, every one of my stores that I took care of, they had to have a crew meeting, and on that crew meeting agenda, and they had to turn the agenda back to the supervisor. It had to explain a section. Well, I gave them a section to visit about in the employee handbook. So every month there's a section during the crew meeting that they covered in the employee handbook. So, and I think I probably need to do that here when I'm thinking about it. So it's just covering all our bases, right? And even though you covered it after a year, and just like you said, you gave them to sign it, okay, you got a copy of it. I think it's really important because you change the behavior. Whatever you visited about with an employee today or one of my team members, and you're going to visit in 3 months about the same thing. That's just the way it is, right? So anywho, but I think a lot of people make the mistake that they don't use their tools. They don't. What am I trying to say here? You can really. I got a great team here, and I think because I'm just a day ahead of tomorrow with them, I always see, like, I had an employee that was not happy yesterday, and he's kind of ranting and raving. It's like, okay, so maybe not. I just went up to him. Maybe this is not the right time to talk, but we'll be sure to chat tomorrow morning. All right, just I don't know what's going on, but so he approached me today. And just said, hey, listen, I was just having a bad day, and I really apologize. I already apologized to, my other coworker. And so I always, try to be a day ahead of tomorrow and see, I always do a walk around with my management team every morning when I'm here. So we'll go from one shop, and I don't have a checklist. So if you do that walk around, you see things, you see potential safety issues, you see, okay, what's up with this? Where's this tire? It's not back in inventory or vehicle. So I think just to be ahead of the game, I always think to myself, what can I do to make it a great place to work and keep everybody happy, and everybody's on the same page. I had a lot of smokers here, and it's not good, to the point where it was causing some issues. So I put a smoking policy in place, and I'd be darned, everybody understood why, because
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
and I'm sure they go out and sneak one every now and then, but it's a lot better than what it was. And I think it's because I just set them up for success. So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right.
For sure.
Now, I'm just going to ask a couple of questions about the employee management side.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned you document things in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use a particular software platform for the HR?
Yeah. Well, no, not really a specific platform. Within, we have, this company that I use. There's all the employees are in there, but I can go in there and put notes on the employee file. I can timestamp it. So everything
You're talking about your payroll company.
No, this is a software company that my POS system. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my POS.
It's in the
system.
POS. Got it.
So there's a place that all our employees are in there because they clock in and out with it, and we can put any note, we timestamp it, we put notes on it. So, and it's real easy. My one employment case that I won, I just printed that off, and it just, the number of times he was absent this whole year, right? I mean, it was all there. So that documentation, but if there's a behavior that's getting out of hand, and even if my management team talks with them, then they go back and note it in their file. And then if it's something that's getting out of hand, we'll come in and have a chat inside the office where they'll sign a form and stuff. So that stuff's important. And more times than not, like I said, it's a counseling form, and you sit there with the employee and say, hey, we got to talk about this. So this is a counseling form. It's a training form, right? Or we're trying to change the behavior here. It's not going our way. And I always tell my people, the only way you're going to be out of here is if you give me the right to do that. And so anyway, I don't know. It's important, but like I said, the 4 years I've been here, I've lost one person. So I lost the two others because they were going off to bigger and better job, and I don't mind that. I encourage
Yeah.
them, right? So, but both those guys came back. So
it's also a good thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, listen, I've taken up a little over an hour of your time at this point, and no, I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for that. I think we, on this podcast, we talk a lot about, training the employees, building the shop culture. We talk about, different aspects of the shop. Maybe we don't visit enough time on the details of the HR side as we could. And I think you kind of brought that out, that, for a shop that's only has like 5 or 6 employees, like obviously you can't be spending, hours on hours every single day to do it, but there are benefits and you need to figure out how to be efficient with it. And you're doing all of those management in-house, or are you using a third-party vendor to help you navigate some of it? Did you say you got the download from?
Sure. The HR part of it is we do all the training on it, but there's a script, a coach's script and everything else with the insurance company that I belong to. So whatever, I mean, it's right there. It covers, you can cover bullet points and everything. So it's real easy for us to do.
So it's available either through your insurance or maybe through your payroll company. They're out there. Go and plug in. That way you don't have to reinvent it, but have something to help yourself out.
Exactly right. Exactly right. But even if you have those 5 or 6 employees, that one could cost you thousands of dollars if you don't do it right, right later on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, actually, so speaking of insurance, I mean, if you have a large group of people, your spread of risk is lower per person. But when you have a smaller group, your spread of risk is much higher per person. And so, I get there's a time issue with it, but it actually could be more costly to you with just fewer employees. So that makes good sense. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing. I've enjoyed the conversation. I hope you did too. I hope the listeners also heard what they did to take away and maybe improve and refine their shop in the process. And if you are looking to improve your marketing process, you can go to addi.me/jumpstart. That's addi.me/jumpstart. And you can find out just by filling out that quick form. We'll go and research your shop and then tell you what your next best move is to kind of improve your own marketing. Now, we talked a lot about HR on this particular episode. I don't have any insight for you on that because we're not HR specialists. We're not coaches. But nonetheless, the Garage Grid podcast is trying to help as many shops as possible. And I think this is one of those episodes that will make people think, okay, maybe it's time to get a couple things in order. And it's also timely because it's kind of the earlier part of the new year, and it's time to think about these things, right? So Tad, thank you again for being with us.